Welcome to Get Better Basketball Live. I'm Coach DeMarco, and today my guest is Coach Austen Hurley, head basketball coach, Parker High School in South Dakota. Coach Hurley and I are going to link up again tonight to talk defense. You're not going to want to miss this episode. But before I jump into it, make sure you hit that like button down below, turn on your notifications, and subscribe to the Get Better Basketball YouTube channel for more great videos each and every week. Another Get Better Basketball Live is up now. Coach Marco here with Get Better Basketball Live, and today I have Coach Austen Hurley, head basketball coach at Parker High School. Coach, always great to have you on.
Yeah, great to be back and talk some hoops. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited. We've had a couple of great episodes. In fact, some of the most watched episodes have been when I've had you on, and I feel like this is going to be another great topic. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit of defense here and kind of a small-sided game format. So why don't you just share with coaches, what this drill or SSG is going to look like?
Yeah, so this drill basically covers, you can do 4 versus 4, 3 versus 3 based on the format. But basically, it teaches your players how to defend a flare screen, then a down screen, and then into a ball screen. And also you can do as a cross screen as well, format with that, and I have that as well. Basically what it does is helps coaches teach 3 different types of ball screens, where we get the small sided games where, we're going to teach how to defend a ball screen. So we're going to just focus on doing it over and over and over again. Well, this allows players to learn how to defend a ball screen, but also chase through down screens and flare screens, where you can talk and get 3 of your principles down in one drill. And then you do it 5 minutes a day, and your players just know what to do, and it becomes second nature. Because in basketball, it's not just, okay, here comes a ball screen. Usually there's a screen before that, which leads into a ball screen. So your players learn how to chase and do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I love drills like this, Coach, because just for the exact reason you said, it makes it live for the players. They're not going to just see a ball screen. They're going to see multiple actions in a game. And as we dive into this, is this something that you score with, different teams between your players, or is it more drill format, or a little bit of both?
So at the beginning when I teach it, it takes a while to teach, just because you got to teach how the offense needs to move, and then you got to go through your principles on what you do on a flare, down, and a ball screen. And what I like about this drill is any coach can put their own philosophy into it. So like when we prepare for a certain team that maybe does cross screen, we'll get rid of the ball screen and we'll focus on that cross screen action for that practice or that week. Or if we know we're playing a team that really likes to set staggers, there's a way we can do it where you can get into a stagger formation. Or if it's a team that is very ball screen continuity, like our team ourselves, this is one where you learn how to defend your ball screen. If you're a blitzing team, a trap team, a soft hedge, or you're an icing ball screen, this works perfect for you to teach your principles.
And just one last question before we take a look at the drill. In terms of frequency, how often are you using this in practice? How many days during the week, and about how long is that period? Is it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Just so coaches can kind of gauge the time frame.
Yeah, so I introduced this drill on day 1 of our 2 weeks. We do 2-a-days, at least 3 2-a-days in a week. And I do it every practice for 2 weeks. The first time I do it is pretty much about 15 minutes or 12 minutes, because about half of that is teaching the offense. Okay, here's where we set the flare screen, the down screen, when we go into ball screen. What happens when a down screen happens, and what do we do on ball screen? You got to teach all those techniques. In that, you're just teaching the drill. So you're not going to actually be live. You might get live the last 3 minutes, if that. A lot of it's teaching. And then when you come back to it, and, in the afternoon of the next day, you slowly instruct just like in a lesson. And then they start, okay, you maybe get 2 minutes of instruction. Now it's okay, we can go live. And then once they get it down and they know what they're doing, it's 5 minutes, or we do is 6 minutes, and we get it done 6 minutes in. And our guys know exactly what to do. It's a good conditioner. They get after it. You keep score. You can keep points. Anything you need to do, make it competitive. So about 6 minutes a day. And then when we get in the season, We usually do it before the day of a game just to get our muscle memory. I'm not going to spend 8 minutes on it. It's going to be about 5 minutes just to get some core memory in, just so that we're prepared for the next day.
Yeah, I love the process too of, that you guys kind of start out early on in the season, teaching the players the expectations for a drill like this and what it should look like. And then, you can progress to a point where you can do it for 5 minutes a day before a game and get a lot out of it because the players know the expectations. And we'll take a look at the drill now. And as we're looking at it, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the defensive expectations you have for players as they're defending the different types of screens.
So this is what we call a chess drill. What is instructing players how to defend 3 different types of screens. I'm Coach Austen Hurley. There's my email. You can email me and I will send you the PDF if you would like it. So the first thing we have here is called the chess drill. And basically what we have is 4 versus 4. And you can do 3 versus 3. You could put a coach here if you don't have enough players or whatever you need to do. But basically you have one player that starts with the ball and the numbers don't matter. It doesn't matter if these are posts, they're guards, or anything like that. Be positionless. So how the drill starts is you have offensive player you can start them in the free throw line or at the top. You have 2 players at the elbows and one player with the ball. The 2 is going to pick a side, kind of like a horn set, and they're just going to flare off each other. So this gives you an opportunity to teach your flare principles. So like we are a chase a flare, not underneath. So the 2 goes over the top here and X2 is going to chase over the top. The reason I teach this is because I teach our players to push them into the baseline and keep them down in this area. We don't want to allow them to come back up. And we also don't want to allow, if this is a big, to seal our guys on a flare for an open 3. After 2 gets the ball here, the 2 is going to hold the ball for a split second. X2 is going to get into ball position or ball pressure position, whichever way you teach it. So our guys are going to get into their what we call is chest up. We usually call it chest drills because my principle is I don't let guys drive into the paint. They can dribble all they want along the perimeter, just not into the paint. I used to be a baseline guy, and I found with high schoolers it's tough because they open up these 45-degree gaps and allow some drives in there in their help side. If you got a shooter here, there's no one to help you. So we have changed to where that's why we call it chest drills, because you got to play defense with your chest. So we're going to chest up here, and after 2 is going to pass it back to the 1. X1 is going to allow this pass to happen. We're not stealing that. And then 2 goes down underneath the hoop. And then in this part, the 4 and the 5 here that were here, and remember, they don't have to be a 4 and a 5. It's positionless. They're going to come set a down screen or a floppy action. 2 can pick either side. They can go right, they can go left, whichever they want to pick. And I really like this is because now we're putting X2 in a decision making of I have to know where my guy is going and I have to be aware of the ball. Whereas if you just continuously have them go off one side every time, they're going to cheat it and cheat and cheat it. Now, when you're teaching this drill, that's fine. Let them pick one side for them to go through, get used to this. So we're a tunneling team. We're not a chasing team on down screens. The reason being on that is because we use just efficient math in this is the fastest way is to cut off the corner. So X2 what's going to happen is when they set this down screen, X4 and X5 here are going to put one hand on their guy and they're going to take their back, turn their back to the ball for a split second, and they're going to open a tunnel for X2 to come here. The reason we do this is because we want to keep the ball on this side of the court if we can at any point in time, and hopefully we can get a steal here. So 2 chases, X2 tunnels. And then after this, the 1, when he passes, is going to go away. Now, if this is a shooter, you can have them chase, or if you're a pack line team, you can teach, hey, ball went away, we jump down to the free throw line. Or if you're a pressure man team, you can teach, hey, jump to the pass, the ball doesn't come back, we're denying 1 pass away. So this allows you to teach different principles in your defense. And what's nice is when it's 4-on-4, there's a lot of reps. So then the next part of the drill is we get into the ball screen. So this is when the 1 is cleared, 2 is receiving a ball screen from the 4. So after 4 sets that down screen, the 4 is coming up to set this screen. So this gives you an opportunity to teach your ball screen principle now with this. So we are a blitz team. So X4 is going to come blitz in X2, and we're a hard blitz team. Our X2 is going to go over the top. So we put the hand in the chest of 4, we come down. And so then what happens with this is X5 now has to take the roll man, and X1 has to realize a ball screen is coming. So X1 is going to come down. And what I call this is the cover 2 or Bermuda triangle, because you don't want to get lost in Bermuda triangle or you never come out of it. And what this does is it teaches, okay, if the ball does get passed to if the 5's taking the 4, X1 has to cover the 5 and the 1. Now we don't obviously want to give up a post touch. So the X1 has to get in front here so that 2 can't make this pass. So that way, when the ball does get passed here, 1 can now come out, 5 rotates over, 4 is going to come down. And so that is the ball screen part of it. And that's basically the drill. And we just rep it 5 minutes before games, or we do it every other day just to teach and keep reteaching our ball screen and our the types of screen defense.
Coach, if we could just go back to that previous slide, I just had a couple of questions I wanted to, ask. I appreciate you sharing your techniques in terms of, how you defend each different type of screen. And, we started over with the flare screen, and just wanted to ask, are there times or situations where you'll play it live off of part 1, the flare, off of the floppy action or the pin downs, or the ball screen at the end? That's sort of the first part of the question. With this drill, I know early in the season you're going to rep the different types of screens, rotate guys in and keep kind of rolling through, but just curious if you'll go live at different points, or if there's if the offense gets a really good read off of the floppy action where the defense tunnels through and they can fade to the corner and they're open and they catch it. Are there situations where you'll let them play live on it as the season goes on? And then I have a kind of a follow-up question to that as well.
Yeah, so when we're teaching this, obviously we're going to go through everything, and we're just going to get our second nature movements in. Then when we go in there, the whole drill is live. So if that 2, you can flare out. If that 2 gets the ball and has a baseline drive, they're going. Now we got to teach the X5 on that during this is, okay, on a flare screen, X4 needs to get down here, X5 needs to come here. We need to protect the rim. And so we'll do that. And then when we do go live, when they do that down screen action with this, if they do get a look to the baseline, then our guys have to talk and cover and things like that. So yes, we do run it live when we get in the season, yes. Or when you feel the guys have mastered each piece, then yeah, we go live and let them play.
And the secondary piece to that, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then the second part is, will you adjust as coaches are watching this, trying to think about what questions they might have? And one, I think that it would be a popular one is, will you adjust the different actions? So do you always start with the flare, or will you start, maybe with the ball screen, or start with a pin down? Or is there a reason why you might go with the flare screen first and kind of use the, consistent sequence when you do a drill like this?
So when I was taught this drill, this is how we always started it, and that's how we've always done it. So you can definitely start in different pieces. Like if you want to start with the down screen into there, it just, the way the drill worked and how it was so effective, it was because of the efficiency and time where our guys knew exactly, like, because teaching the offensive part of this, it's not the defensive part where coaches are going to find a struggle. It's the offense, where the offense has to remember 3 different screens and when to screen. But it just worked really well with when you get that flare, you're already in a position to go down and then come back out into a ball screen. So you could start, if coaches feel they find a different way of doing it, go ahead. But this is just the most effective I found, where we put the offense in positions where it's just a continuous cycle, and then our guys can play through it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Looking at it, and that's why I wanted to ask that question. it seems like it's really efficient the way it's set up from the flare to the pin down and then, into the ball screen. It makes a lot of sense. And really, I feel like that flows pretty realistically to what is going to happen, in a game or in a given possession. And, I wanted to ask, you mentioned earlier, if you guys are playing against a team that runs, whatever, motion strong or something, and they might have a staggered screen and, their offense, something, you'll incorporate those at different points. Will that be something you put at the end of the drill, or how do you incorporate those into the drill?
So what we do is, so let's say we're playing a stagger team that just maybe their continuity is pass corner and they stagger away and they post up on the strong side. So what you can do with that is you can start with the flare screen into a down screen. And so when that happens, is what you can do is, and I don't have a diagram, but you can take this 4 and this 5. And so instead of having this down screen, when you reverse this ball back to the 1, this 1 can dribble to the right and we can work off staggers this way. And then the 5 could come and set a stagger screen over by the 4. And now you have a stagger there. And now what you can work on is if you're a tunnel staggers team, or you're a chasing stagger team, or you're switching stagger team, is okay, are we worried about slips? What kind of player is 2? Is 2 their best shooter, or is 2 just a guy that's a role player? Is 1 their best player? Those kind of things. So now you got to worry about, okay, are we face guarding? Are we playing off? Are we soft hedging? Those kind of things. So you can definitely revamp it. So like when we get down to this down screen action, here is where we start twisting the drill a little bit, where we'll do a stagger, where the 4 and 5 will set a stagger on the left, or they'll set a stagger on the right. And we'll switch it where we have to read those things. Also, what we'll do is if we're facing a team that is trying to get cross screens with posts, like a W offense with cross screen, is we'll get the ball to the 2 there, and then that 4 will set a cross screen to the 5, and the 5 will come over, and we also implement that as well at the end of the drill. That down screen action just really helps with different areas where you can do a cross screen, a stagger screen, or you can even do flex out of it as well. We'll even implement flex at the very end. And that's why I like the flare into the down screen to keep that consistent. So that way, when you do throw something, a wrinkle in it, the offensive players and the defensive players aren't getting confused. It's, hey, we're just changing this last bit. We're not gonna do a ball screen today. We're gonna do staggers, and this is what we're gonna work on. Or they like to do cross screens. We're gonna work on this, and then you only spend about a minute of teaching that little piece, or 2 minutes, and then the rest of the drill takes care of itself.
And coach, I know we said this before, but in terms of efficiency, you teach the drill from the beginning with the flare and the pin down and the ball screen, and players know it, and they know that sequence, and the offense knows what they're going to do. And then I like how you add in, if you want to add in the staggered action at the end, it's just one thing they have to do differently at the end. So I feel like this must be pretty sharp in practice once you teach the players. And I wanted to ask, in terms of transitioning, so that defender is going to defend those different screens, and then the help defenders are obviously going to have to rotate and get in position. So it's good for on the ball and off the ball defense. What does that look like in terms of a rotation? Do you rotate the players through to different spots? What does that look like for you guys?
So yeah, we do offense or defense gets 4 possessions, 4 players. So each person's going to defend those screens. So you have 4 possessions, and then what we tell the guys to keep it competitive. So it's not just, okay, we just run through this, run through that, and we're done. Is they have to score, the offense trying to score 4 points in those 4 possessions. So we call it point per possession drill scoring. And then the defense has to stop them from scoring 4 points. So just 2 buckets. So they have to get 3 stops basically out of it. And the goal is to get 3 stops in a row. So that's how we rotate. And then basically it's offense to defense. And then if you have your subs, then you sub in after that.
Love the idea of getting 3 stops in a row, kind of that kill mentality, getting a kill, so to speak. And that always keeps it highly competitive. So loving the drill, coach, loving everything I've heard and I've seen so far. And my understanding is you have some video of it as well. So I'd love to take a look at the video and see this in action.
So here's the start of our chest drill. As you can see, we starting at the free throw line. This is part of the season. You can see there's 6 minutes on the clock. So we're kind of deep in our season. And this part, we're kind of, legs are kind of tired. So we're just going to kind of go through this drill and just get our principles worked on for this. So you can see we start with the flare. In this, what we're working on is defending the ball here. We drop down at this point, defending here. And then what I like to see better is this backside help defender get more down into the paint a little bit more. So let me pass up, start coming off. And as you can see, these two guys do a really good job of, they turn their backs to the ball so they can help real quick, which puts a lot of pressure on the guy defending the ball when we do go live, is if this guy does drive to the rim, he's got no help because these guys aren't seeing. And then we're gonna tunnel, get chest up, and then we go into our ball screen, which is, and now we're just live playing. So now we get guys in different spots here. So we're just gonna, so now guys get in different positions. Flare. So in this, what I'd like to see better is the guy defending 14, he's got to be down here underneath the rim here, because when we reject that ball screen, that's what's going to happen. Guys are going to go again. They're going to different spots. 5 should go over instead of under. And here we have a little bit of confusion with our players, which we'll fix here in a little bit when we talk about it. So we do get a better job here with this. So our guys are figuring out that if you go reject a reject a ball screen to baseline, you're going to get some good buckets. On this, the defender at the top of the key needs to get more into this paint here. And then 22 down there just needs to be a little bit quicker here when we get this baseline, a little bit of help and not jump when we are defending the ball. And as you can see, it's very efficient with this. The guys are rotating in, they're getting to where they need to be. And so now what we're doing is we're talking about the flare screen, going down to our down screen. And now we're going to talk about our positioning, because our positioning hasn't been that great. So as you can see here, we got to talk about how we're going to open up a tunnel. And then when we come here, we're talking about why we tunnel and how we're not going to play behind. So when he goes says that down screen, he's not a threat. So I'm telling my player, he's not in a position to score right here. So we got to open the tunnel and get on top of him. So that way he can defend the post there. Because this player that he's guarding right here is very good at sealing as well as a guard. And if he is playing from behind, he's going to seal and post up in that position. So that part we're going over is we got to make sure we're tunneling and not being on the backside of them. So we get back into it, and now he does a great job of being coached. He gets in help position, and he's right there to make a stop.
I love the amount of reps you're getting here, Coach, in a short amount of time. I know you mentioned it, but it is very, very efficient. And now I think we're seeing O&D switch here, switch sides.
Yep, offense to defense here. And that's a shot we want to force. So.
And now that player didn't go to the ball screen. He saw an opening or a pass that he wanted to make, so he went with it. So seeing a lot of different really nice examples here for coaches to take a look at, and just love the rapid pace of the drill and what the players are doing here.
Yeah, so with this drill, what allows you to do is when you get in the season is these guys have done it so much that I don't need to teach very much. I can let them play, let them go, and they're so efficient at just rotating and doing the same things over and over again, is that they just play basketball and they get as many reps as possible. So we do a good job of blitzing, good tip. He's a good player. So now after those 4, we get guys subbed in. A little miscommunication, who's guarding who here. Start the drill over. But also on this defensive drill, the guys can work offensively as well on their ball screens and their down screens, and just everything like that. Like I tell the guys, hey, we may be working on defense, but this is a chance to work on your offense as well. Like we
nice
tell our
ball movement, very nice ball movement, that extra pass in that possession. So obviously they're getting in reps. I think that's a good thing about any SSG is that you're getting reps on, both sides of the ball. And even if it's more geared towards defense, you're still getting in those offensive reps too.
Yep. And then we got enough guys with our reps there. And as you can see, we have about 1:45 left. I felt we did a decent job with, or a good job with our drill. We're kind of tired. We're down a little bit, a few guys with illness. So we stopped the drill short there, and then we're moving on.
Well, Coach, just thinking about, a drill like that, where there's a lot of value getting in different types of screens. And obviously there's a benefit to the offense as well. For coaches that are looking at this drill and they're thinking about using it with their team, what are some suggestions you have for them to get it kickstarted early on in the season? And then maybe as they advance it, some other suggestions you might have for them as well.
Yeah, when you're starting it off, you got to make sure you designate enough time for learning. I know in the beginning of the first 2 weeks of our practices, we want to put as much stuff in, things of that. The first couple of practices is you just have to be patient as a coach, and you have to let your guys learn, and you're going to have to be patient because I know when I teach the offensive part of this and I'm teaching all these things, guys forget, okay, I set a flare, I need to set it down in a ball screen. They have to remember 3 things. So yeah, I urge a caution is keep your patience and keep your cool with that, because it is easy to get upset with players, because when you do teach this, you're probably going to put some of your bench players on offense to start. Well, those players aren't going to know exactly what to do right away. When you watch that drill, everyone has an evil twin. They're opposite of each other, someone that's based on their skill based, or athleticism. So in this drill, I don't do my best 5 versus my second 5 versus my third 5. I mix and match. So they're always going against someone of their own skill. And then I believe it's making us better every single time. As you go on in the season, make sure that you're just consistently staying with the same things. I know as sometimes as when you play a team that's maybe better than you or things of that nature is we're going to change our philosophy, this and there. You can't change your philosophies. You got to stick with them. If you start changing them, you're going to confuse your players. And just keep it simple. Don't try to add too much. Like we talked about the staggers, you can add staggers in there when you're playing a team that's a stagger team. And then you can also add in a cross screen against W cross screen teams, or if it's a ball screen team, you focus on that. Just change little things at a time.
Well, that's great advice for coaches that, are thinking about incorporating this with their team. I know this is something I would love with my team as a more of a defensive minded coach. I think you hit a lot in this one drill, but obviously it's also great for the offense to learn how to play off those different screens. So, great drill for coaches to really consider with their team. And I really appreciate you sharing it with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me and let me share the drill and share my knowledge of the game.